If we can take every child under the age of 5 and make them meditate for an hour a week on compassion, we could delete all the violence in one generation. That's something what Dalai Lama says, and that's also the motto of Svetlana Esposito, my today's guest. And as you can see, if you are watching on YouTube, she's very pretty, but she knows that's not what matters the most in this world. What matters is how you feel inside and if you're aligned with your soul. So, welcome to the Soul Talks with Misha, the podcast about spirituality blended into modern life, podcast about consciousness and how high vibration can affect your life in a positive way. This podcast is for everyone who is ready to connect deeper with themselves and who is ready to live a calm and abundant life. So welcome again, and as I mentioned, today I have Svetlana Esposito here with me. She is a conscious soul, she is a global citizen, she's a sacred space holder, sound healer, a Reiki practitioner, and so much more. So welcome, Svetlana.
Hi,
And nice to have you here. Please, if you want to introduce yourself better, go ahead.
hi, Misha. Thank you so much for having me here. I think you described it very nicely. What I love to do in my life is really to bring people together in a safe space where I guide them in the gentle and practical way through Kundalini yoga. I absolutely love it. As you mentioned, I teach meditation to the little souls, to children from 5 to 11 years old. I do energy work, Reiki, I use crystals, I do sun healing, really anything to help people on their emotional and physical healing, including myself.
Yes, and you are born in Czech Republic and nowadays live in Nevada, is that right?
I was born in a small town, Jihlava, in Czech Republic, and then I moved with my husband, who is American, to Russia. We lived there for 3 years. Then we moved to Ukraine, where we lived for about 7 years. And now we have been living in Las Vegas for the past 11 years.
Yeah, so the real global citizen.
We definitely love traveling.
Yes, and that brings me to the topic when you travel, you have to see how, let's say, the spirituality or purpose life, the connection, the practices like Kundalini yoga or meditation differ in every place of this world. Like, are there any similarities or is it very different if you compare Czech Republic, Russia, United States, or how is it?
Actually, it was interesting because I have been certified for Kundalini in the States, but one of my first practice of Kundalini was in Ukraine. I would say probably 15 years ago. So there already have been some Kundalini practices. So that was my first introduction and I really enjoyed it. But then I had my children, so I kind of went away from this kind of practice, but came back to it in the States. But the difference, I would say that there is so lots of Kundalini studios in the States. I think in Czech Republic, it's really becoming, I can even use the word popular, but people are really seeking this kind of practice that is fast and you can make the shift within your physical and emotional body really in a short amount of time. So I would say that it's people are really seeking it now in the Czech Republic.
And why do you think so that people are seeing it now more than in the past?
Because I think that nowadays the life is so busy and fast, and the society requires so much from us, and people are seeking and looking for stillness, mainly within, because they are on a go, 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 and they really need this quiet time for themselves because it affects their emotional being and then, of course, the physical being, and vice versa. So really, people are looking for stillness.
Let's be silent for that for a minute. But I agree with you. That was somehow the same reason for me when I was also seeking for stillness. I didn't know it back then, what I'm seeking for, but now I know that it was the silence and connection to myself. And it's so important. And it's not like we are not taught that in schools, right? So I think it's changing. You're changing it now also when you're having your meditation school for kids. I think it's so important. So maybe tell us more about that. Why kids so important to teach them meditation?
Mhm. So I've been teaching meditation to children for probably 7 years. I have two boys. I have been meditating myself probably for the past 15 years. So it's my daily practice. It's something that becomes, it becomes just whatever I do every day. And my children are 16 and younger one will be 10. So they see it at home every day. So for them, it's something that it's normal, like brushing your teeth, eating, sleeping. So if they see me meditating or they see somebody else meditating, they don't, wow, they are meditating. It's something, it's normal. Why I started teaching children is through my children. I think I started introducing meditation to my older child, so to Toby, probably when he was maybe 7 or 8. But then I had my younger one, and he was really drawn to it. He would love to go to my healing room, and he would love to sit with me. And he was really introduced really when he was 3 years old, very early, and I could see that through him it's so easy for him to sit and close his eyes and really go deep into meditation and be in touch with himself. And when I was sharing this with my friends who had their children and they were young, they were also 3, 4, 5, 6, they actually invited me, why don't you do courses for children? So I took a course, mindfulness course for children, and all of my friends brought their children to my space, and children really loved it. They were really looking forward to being in quiet, and then they loved coming back home and inviting their parents to actually sit with them. So yeah, that's actually how it started. I teach kids from 5 years old to about 11. Then I think when they become 12, they go into the teenage years, and it's a little bit different. But really introducing to sit for very short time when children are 3, 4, 5, it's amazing.
And how long do they meditate? Or because I can imagine, and maybe I'm completely wrong, but adults, okay, some adults meditate few minutes because they think it's difficult. But we can also, I can meditate 2 hours and some days and I can do more. But how is it with kids' attention? Because I can imagine they, for example, when I did once sound healing for a very little boy, he was 1 year old. So of course he was, playing. He was not laying down like my adult clients. So how is it when you teach these kind of kids to meditate?
So actually, science says that for every 1 year, you can meditate 1 minute. So if they are 5 years, they can meditate up to 5 minutes. I have to say that it's somewhat true. They can last 5 minutes. But when I introduce the meditation, it's a very short time. So when they are new to meditation, that we can start with 1 minute, and then we go to 3 minutes, and then we go to 5 minutes, depending on how old they are. But really, when they are 8 years old, they can meditate from somewhere 5 to 8 minutes. They can be still. And then you can see they can be fidgety or they can start moving. So it also depends whether you are guiding them. So whether you are using visualization, they really love to go to different spaces, and then they love to share. If you use sound or if you really use silence. So yeah, I would say 5 to 11 years old, up to 10 minutes, they can do easily.
That's nice. That's maybe more than an average adult does on daily basis.
You know, what I also found, and even when I was learning about how children meditate and through my experiences with them, They sit down and they connect to themselves and they go within, and nothing disturbs them until when they are about 8 years old. And when you are 8 years old, then the mind starts to really chatter. So, and I could really see it with my younger. When he would meditate when he was 5, 6, 7. He would meditate and then he would just open his eyes and he would say, "I need to go to the restroom." He would leave and he would come back and sit back. Now he's 9, and if he does it, he goes to the restroom and he says, "I'm done." Because really now when he comes in and he even tells me, "No, now it's too much to go back in." Or he wouldn't use this word, but he would say, "Now it's like it's difficult to now sit and meditate," or he would say, "To sit and do nothing."
That's really interesting how it changed with the age. But it's also good that they have, even until age 8, they learn this habit, right? And then even if it's few minutes, even if they don't come back to it after the restroom, it's already life-changing. And do you see, well, I know you do, but what kind of results do you see with those kids? If you can compare it, those who meditate or don't, and how it changed their lives?
Well, in my meditation classes, I have a very interactive class. So when they come, it's not 1 hour of meditation. We talk about what meditation is. We sit for 1 minute, then we color or do color therapy. I always call it, whatever you do, you can use it as meditation. So you can color and you can be quiet and use it as a meditative coloring. When we are dancing or moving or even doing some gentle exercises, you can use it as a meditation. So I would say that I would say that they can really use. I invite them always to use whatever they do as a meditative practice. And so the difference nowadays is that when actually what I hear from the parents is how they can work with their emotion. Because even in my class, when we do these short practices, coloring, sound, and different exercises, I really teach them to listen to their emotions. So we share their emotions. So when they become angry, we don't try to change it. We allow them to be angry. We allow them to say actually whatever they say. So the parents say that the meditation classes, when they come home, they I don't want to use the word manage, but they really work through their emotions. I would say in the more gentle way.
That's really nice. So maybe they are more aware of them, right? They can name it and they can talk about it. Is, I think, very important.
And mainly sharing them. The parents say that they say that the child can say, "Well, now I'm angry," and they inform the parents that they are angry and they may leave, or if they have a little bit meltdown, the parents can just observe them. And they can even tell the parents that some of them when they are 8, 9, 8, 9, 10, they can say that they don't need anything from the parents, or they even say, one mother shared with me that the girl said that she was upset and she said, "Mom, but you don't need to do anything." Because they know we always try to soothe them, say, "Don't cry, don't be upset, don't be angry." It's this motherly way. So they actually realize that the people who are around them, they don't need to change how they feel, meaning how the child feels.
I really love that, especially when you talk about expressing the emotion and then tell other people it's okay, just let me with that emotion, and you're not responsible for that. And I learned it only in my 30s. So, I mean, better than never, but it's,
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
in the previous generations, specifically, I think we discussed that last time together. I also had, even in the adulthood moments, right? I had some moments when I was with my family and I was crying because of something, and what I heard was, "Don't cry." Well, I want to cry now, right? So it's also important that when you said that they are able to really name the emotion and go through it and not to keep it stuck in their bodies, and because that leads to developing of certain issues, right? After you don't if we somehow ignore the emotions or don't let them go out. So emotions is one thing, and then also stress and pressure is another thing. I mean, it's all linked, but I know that also your son is using meditation and this practice and awareness to be the best at what he's doing, swimming, right?
Yes. Yeah. Tobias, he's a competitive swimmer. He is 16 years old, and he can feel the pressure from what is expected from him or what he actually thinks that is expected of him. So he puts the pressure on himself and has to work with it somehow. So he definitely uses meditation. I would say he uses a lot of breath work. He does breath to really help him to move the emotions. Even recently, I think I was mentioning to you, like a few weeks ago, we were in Prague and he was at the junior nationals here in Czech Republic, and I was really proud of him because he asked for help. I always checking in with him, and he was feeling fine. And probably like 30 minutes before his race, he came to me and he says, "Mom, the doubts kicked in, and the fear and the stress and the mind. What it says is just not nice." So I asked him what he needs, and he said, "Can we do some breathing? Can you like walk me through some breathing and talk to me?" So I was really proud of me. Could ask for help, and the breath. Even when I was watching the other competitive swimmers, you can see they do lots of breathing when they are going on the stands. They do this because they know it helps them to move the emotion, the stress, to release the stress. So I'm really happy that he has I would say I planted the seeds, and it's up to him. He has the tools what he can use, but he knows he can come and ask for help. And I think that's really important. And as for me as a mother, I'm really proud of him.
Yes, and for me as non-mother yet, it's very inspiring. It's
Yeah.
inspiring because sometimes when I see people around me who live consciously and plant the seed into the family of how to meditate and work with the emotions versus the other way around, it's very visible in the long term how the people live and how they can approach their stress, their careers, and all of that, right? It's from very different space. I was just listening to some mindfully videos like 2 days ago, and Misha was saying, and I really loved that one thing is to meditate for hours and just to with the purpose to be a monk and somewhere in the middle of nowhere, like anyone can do that. It's so much easier rather than including the meditation to the busy world and really use the meditation to actually create something meaningful to go forward in our careers or sports or whatever it is. So I really like it.
Thank you. It's definitely a journey, and they still are 10 and 16, and they can say, "Oh, it's boring," or "It's not cool," and they roll their eyes. But then I see that on their iPads they have meditation on. On YouTube there is meditation music, and so I know that they use it. And as I said, I think that when you plant the seeds, that's really all you can do, and then to be there for them, to support them when they need.
Maybe even as you said, even when sometimes maybe they think it's not cool, they will come back to eventually probably.
Yeah, the older one definitely doesn't want to sit with us and meditate, but now after this big swimming, he actually asked if we can do more meditation, if he can do more breathing, because he can see that as he is swimming better and better and going into these important meets, the pressure is more and the stress is more. So it's actually the meditation, the mindfulness, and the mental health is needed.
Yes, it is. It is. And talking about mental health and mindfulness, what was your starting point to actually go deeper into these practices? You mentioned Russia. So, what was your start when you were like really, okay, this is my path and I go that way?
Actually, I found meditation when I was in Russia. We moved there with my husband. I was learning Russian, and I felt very alone. I didn't work. I was just meeting few women, but it was the loneliness where I felt very lonely, sad. I started also using food as my comfort, so watching shows, eating, overeating, and then I knew of course, this took some time. When I knew that this is not the way, I don't remember like how but somebody I think mentioned meditation, and I started looking into energy work, and this is how I started meditating. And it, of course, took a few years to regulate my emotional eating and mainly to create a healthy relationship with my own body. But this is how I started meditation, how I started to meditate.
So you started because you felt alone, and so in a foreign country, right? Not connected to the community, which, by the way,
That's
from what I read, is one of the biggest root cause of depression and anxiety in today's world, that we are separated from the community.
yeah.
So the solution is meditate, don't overeat. And so, because I think I had it very similarly, yeah, I haven't sorted out yet with my eating fully. I think it's a life journey. But from what we discussed last time, is that there is a strong belief sometimes in the society that somehow how we look like is very important. That's one point, and all the pressure about what we eat is another pressure. And then so many of us actually suffer from emotional eating because it influences our hormones, right? It just improves short term improves our moods when we eat some sugar. And it just gives us love eventually, sometimes the food we eat. Was it the same for you, that you were raised maybe in the way that just look good and then the whole world will be fine? Because that's what I somehow heard quite often. Like, if you look better, then everything is gonna be fine.
If you are pretty, everything will work out for you. I think the generation of my parents' generation, even generation before, it was all about the appearance. If you come and you are dressed nice and look certain way, you may even achieve more things. So I think that the generation was a lot about. I mean, my parents' generation was all about the appearance, how you look like, and being raised for many years in this kind of environment and being conditioned that if you are chubby, or maybe uh, if you are a little bit heavier, it's wrong. Uh, so that was hard. Become comfortable in your own skin, realize that, or see and trust and really embody that we have all different sizes and not everyone will be skinny. One will be skinny, one will be a little bit pear shape, other person will be a little bit heavy, and it's completely okay. That you don't need to look like a model to be happy in your life and to achieve the things that you want to do.
Yeah. It's sadly still a big topic in today's world, and with the social media, there is so much pressure on how we should look like to be happy and successful. But from my experience, when I was a bit, yeah, lighter, I will use your words, I was way less happier than now, for example. And it's also important is to acknowledge that especially for us women, our bodies are changing, right? It depends also, having kids, not having kids, everything cyclic. Also, it links to, yeah, potentially stress and the life we are living, right? Sometimes we have to hold more and protect ourselves more rather than other times in our lives. And I think it's so often somehow ignored by the society. It's just, okay, so you're a woman, you should have, I don't know, 50, 60 kilos, you should have this perfect clothes for the rest of your life, and then you're fine. But
Yeah,
what kind of energy you are streaming out there, that's somehow forgotten.
and really, it's so sensitive nowadays to even say to the little kids that they are big or they are heavy, and how they take it inside and how they are internalizing. It's really hard. I can see it even from my son, the older one. I remember when we came back from Czech Republic, probably like 6 years ago. He could have been maybe 9. And one of his boxing trainer actually told him, "Wow, you are big." But he didn't mean he was heavy. He meant that he grew. But the word he used was big. And my son thought that he told him, "Wow, you are fat." And I think it took a few months. He always asked me whether he's fat or if he should eat this or that. I was honestly a little bit freaking out. I was like, oh no, I just don't want this for my son because I went through this. So we had to walk through it and really him learning that if he eats healthy and he's exercising and he's mainly listening to his body, which is the one thing that I teach my children always to listen to your body, was big, and that was a big change for him and for the whole family.
It's a great example. Do you see any big difference in United States compared to Czechia? Because I feel that when I travel somewhere Western, let's say, more conscious communities, it's better compared to the standard, let's say the average Czech Republic, let's call it that way, because I have the feeling that there is still a lot of comments on the appearance. And as you said, it's just even commenting, I would say anything on the appearance. Okay, you have this kind of dress, or why do you have this hair? Or, and as you said, it doesn't have to be meant in a mean way, but just the comment on someone's appearance. Why do even people do that? So if you compare US and let's say Czech Republic, do you see a big difference?
Well, I see now a big difference of. I think that overall there is a issue with obesity because of how the companies' food and food chains, how they are selling their food. So people really eat and overeat, and because of the stress and I think business of everyday life, they really overeat. So they eat the emotions, so they wouldn't feel. They are now finding out that. Sometimes even when people want to lose weight, they cannot lose weight because they are holding on to emotion. And once you are start work with the emotions and releasing them and mainly stuck emotions from many, many years ago, the weight will start dropping. So the difference, I would say that every year I come to Czech Republic, I would have to say that people are more happy than they were the previous year. And I think it's really the food companies, but I also feel it's the emotions that people don't really work through their emotions, and then they shove it down, they keep it inside, and then I think that the body scores it, and then they are putting weight on.
That's a very sad conclusion. Yeah, but in my opinion, uh, those kind of um, weight and heaviness is often like we cannot really lose it by crazy running or cardio sports or not eating, right? It's what you said. It's really releasing all the emotions and all the traumas, which is stuck, all the fears. So much fear around me more and more that we just hold on it and yeah, and we protect ourselves eventually, right? From those emotions, from those fears.
Yes. But I think it's so, we have so many beautiful tools with breath work, with releasing like fascia release, and with kundalini yoga, and with different practices that people have the tools to use it and to be healthy mentally and physically. So this is also a big step. I can see the things with the food, but I can see this huge development in the practices that they can support them.
Yeah, it's true. And the society and what you talked about, the food companies, it's the same with the pharma companies where we are just given very fast solution, but by a pre-made dish or pills against the headache or whatever. We just eat it, take it, and then it's like the problem is solved very fast. But then in the long term, it's the other way around, right? What I see a lot that people go this fast track and then they hit a certain point And then they just turn and go the practices and tools which you described: breath work, kundalini yoga, meditation, all that. And it's like puzzles. Sometimes, let's say, breath work maybe doesn't work for someone and kundalini works for them, or they prefer sound healing, or they prefer reiki, or they prefer yoga, or I don't remember all the practices, but there is so many. And it's the message here is to just keep trying, and for every period of life there might be different tool, but it's good to, yeah, good to try and go to those practices with an open mind, and I would say with no expectations, like with good intention, but not with huge expectations that, wow, I will go now to this one kundalini yoga and then I will fly on the dragons and
Yeah. Even, yeah, you are right. So many beautiful modalities, and as you said, it's finding the modality that works for you, and see how it can support you and help you on the journey. And I feel really the meditation, when you said even the quote for Dalai Lama, I think if really not even every child, but if every person would sit with themselves for a few minutes a day, the real science says, and I can see it, when you meditate or when you listen to your emotions for 90 seconds, which is minute and a half, it's nothing, 90 seconds, but sitting 90 seconds with the emotions, when you feel angry, when you feel resentment, when you feel bitterness, it's sometimes a long time, but when you sit through this time, it really the emotion move through you. So if every person would sit, we would really eliminate so much from this world.
yes. And now imagine taking those 90 seconds before eating, right? Before deciding what to eat, before we fastly just grab something, what we have
Yes.
in our fridge, and before making the decisions. And also, what I personally love is to eat mindfully and really in silence, ideally. Also, listen to the body. What does it say to what I'm eating? Can change the world.
Yes, definitely.
And Svetlanka, so were you always conscious being? Did you always feel energy, or was it just something that somehow popped up in your life out of nowhere? How was it for you?
Well, I could only, I would say, a few years back, I learned that whatever I was seeing when I was a little girl, I could see colors, especially I could see object and really moving the energy, especially at night. And I was afraid of it. I remember I was crying. I was calling my mom, and she had to put me to sleep because I was seeing things. And I remember it was around 7, 8 years old. I completely blocked it out. So I could feel that there are things around us. And my mom is, she's very intuitive, and she can also feel spirits. So she would tell me today, our grandfather is here, and I would be looking at her and asking, what do you mean there is a grandfather here? He's there, and then the dog would start barking into the corner. And so I was even like brought up that there is more to see that actually our eyes can see. My mom would always teach me, or not teach me, she would always share with me that there is more to see than your eyes can actually see. So then when I was started traveling, I could see it and I could feel it.
Maybe see it with
Then,
the third eye.
and then my husband could see it in me, and he was the one that then invited me to start taking courses in Reiki and in meditation and in breath work. He was definitely the one that who saw the potential and said, "Yeah, it's here. Go for it."
That's so beautiful. So he's also, well, obviously he motivated you to go that direction. So is he also sensing energy and seeing spirits, or is it more that he is aware of it, maybe a bit less connected than you, or how is it?
Well, he works in finance. He is very logical and practical. Well, practical. He's very logical. So he would come to me and he would say, "What's your intuition saying?" And then he asked me something where I always ask, "What is your intuition saying?" And he says, "I don't have intuition." But he when I hold events at home and we would go to bed, he would say, there was somebody behind us on the stairs. You need to smudge more tomorrow. So I know he can feel and he can see. He is just not voicing it because the world, the world he is living in, it's just, it's all about numbers. But he really supports me in my work. He's my biggest cheerleader and supporter. I know he sees and feels and he knows. He may not voice it.
It's beautiful that he lets you support him, right, through intuition and intuitive decision. That's just very beautiful. And it's again also not always the case, right? Sometimes women maybe feel more, although I believe that like we all have intuition and we all have the capacity to work with energy, but for some of us it's open more, some of us less if we maybe don't work with it that much. But I sometimes see the case that maybe women are a bit more open, and then it's so beautiful if the man supports and asks for that support of women as well, rather than just calling us up to woo woo or whatever witch just just don't curse me or something. So it's really really nice. If you could give one advice to the world, to all our audience, everyone who is listening, to have a better life, really, what would be that one recommendation for them?
I always laugh when people ask me questions just and tell me you have a one choice, and I usually say I'm Gemini. I can't have only one choice. I have to give seven.
Sorry.
But if you say like one choice, I would definitely invite people to listen to their body. People may call it intuition, but really listen to their body, where their body is taking them, what the body is asking. Listening, it's really to, again, sit in silence to listen. So we can circle back to meditation. Through meditation, you listen to your body, and then you listen to the wisdom and to the guidance of your body, and your body will take you where you are meant to go.
It's so important. Thank you for that, because I see often on the spiritual path that we tend to actually escape the bodies, and we are maybe too much with the spirits and not grounded and disconnected from our bodies, or we have some visions, and but then if we cannot embody it and live it in the tangible world, that's a real problem. That's another problem.
And sometimes when you say, even when people say listen to your intuition or listen to your body, some people don't know how to listen to their body. They don't actually know what it is. So we can like go even deeper, that feeling safe in your own body, then you trust to listen to it. So that's for another topic for another 1 hour. But that would be probably my invitation to everyone. How can you listen? How can you feel safe in your body so you can listen to it and trust its guidance?
So it was invitation from you, and my invitation is that if you want to learn it, you're unsure, you should contact Svetlana. All right. So with that, we're getting to the end of the episode today. So if you want to find us and get more information, get in touch in person, online, you see anywhere around the world probably. You find our contacts in the description down there, to our websites, Instagrams. And if you like our channel, if you enjoyed this talk, then please just give us a subscribe, because that will help us to create more peace and more joy in this world. So thank you everyone, and bye.
Thank you so much for having me, Misha.
Thank you, Svetlana, for joining.
Okay, bye.
Okay.